vegan ham. It looks so amazing. And look how it moves. Oh, I can't wait to fry this. Have it on a sandwich. Amazing. I used to eat meat and I love that succulent, delicious flavor that I remember ham tasting like, but I want it plant-based and I don't want it to be processed. There's so many great recipes out there by some of my favorite YouTubers, and I needed to find something that I could do of my own that would work for the amount of time I have available, which frankly isn't that much. And I wanted to have something that was delicious and that I can use for meal prepping to make my life easier and to not have to have as much time invested for breakfast duty. So join me as I explain how I go about sharing my method. And of course, I just wanted to give homage to the great ham recipes. Many haven't included, but here's some great ones on screen now that you can check out too. Oh, and don't let the length of this video fool you. It may seem long, but it's for a reason. You really want to be able to look at what the food looks like as I'm making it. There are chapters, so feel free to skip, go backward and forward as you need to, but this video is the right length to help you feel like you're really part of it. To kick off with the ingredients, what I wanted to show you was what I did. This is a very forgiving, white, starchy, quote unquote, membrane, and you should have it flavored so that it tastes almost a little bit too salty, very much packing a punch in terms of flavor. What I did inside of the recipe is I used half of the amount that was created here to create a white fatty substitute for the fat, and then I kept the other half that I could use to tear and mix and tear and mix to create that starchy membrane running through the pink. So take a look at all of these ingredients, write them down, take a screenshot, and I will explain the next elements coming in the next screen. So this is just showing you what it looks like when I've started to mix all of the powders together. And additionally, the Vietnamese sheets. They are a jelly-like texture. I've used them before in similar recipes and they come out really well. That's already half a cup, and I know I'm going to need more for the consistency that I want, so I'm going to go ahead and add the other half a cup. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a mix to incorporate everything together. It smells really good. What does that smell like? That's very fragrant. It is very fragrant. The smell already coming off of that is really good. I like that. And I'm going to get this kind of sludgy consistency punch. That's very salty. It's very unctuous. I think that's going to do really well with that flavor that we're looking for from a ham. That's a very strong, powerful flavor. So I'm very happy with that. The rice sheets have been sitting here for a couple of minutes, and those are nice and gloopy. And look at that. That's just, oof. That's a really nice gloopy consistency. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to blend all of this together in my blender, and I might just add another half a cup of the Vital Wheat Gluten just to give it a little bit more substance. But this is it so far. I'm just going to pour off another half a cup, roughly quarter cup, and I will use that if I need to when I actually go to blend it. But I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm going to give this a blend, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. My blender told me it did not like the experience, but we ended up with it blended anyway. So this is what it looks like. It's a lot more smooth, and the jelly-like texture that I'm looking for from the rice sheets should start to kind of take some effect here. To clean my blender out, I used half a cup of water, and I ended up keeping the stuff to the side. I can always add this in, but I can't take it away, so I'd rather keep that to the side just in case I end up using it. So this is my white fatty part that I'm happy with so far. Okay, so I'm about to just use half of this for a white level membrane as opposed to just the fatty part. But I just wanted to show you a close-up of this. These little white jelly bits you see is the rice sheets. And if you see how, I hope I don't drop my phone in here, but if you see how they come up, it's really good. So when this cooks, those will be stable parts that will be in and like flowing throughout the ham, which will make a really nice fatty type texture that will go throughout the ham. So I'm really excited about that. I just wanted to show you that this is about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes since, and I haven't done anything more to it, but you can see that the mixture is actually becoming a little bit more gloopy than it was before I went away, and it's still smooth, but there's a little bit more something to it. And what I'm going to do is put half of this in with 2 cups of Vital Wheat Gluten, and that's going to make a white level, and then I'm going to keep the rest for kind of like mixing and moving in between along with some butter. When I made the ham and sliced it and tasted it, it was amazing. The texture is divine. But I did think I could have used a little bit more salt. So what I've done is I've adapted the recipe from what you'll see in the videos so that it will give you even a better punch. I don't like my food to be too salty, and so I had to adjust for that. But it's better to have too little than too much, especially if you're watching your sodium intake. This is just the 4 cups of Vital Wheat Gluten and 1 1/4 cup of the chickpea garbanzo flour. Here is all of my seasonings plus the pink food dye. I'm going to put the mixer on 1 and just start to add the pink slurry to it. It is very watery. Add all but a little bit, there's a tiny little bit left. Just encourage some of the powder to make its way to the middle. And I don't want to over process this. I'm not going to put it on a very high speed. I just want it to combine, and then I'm going to put it in the blender bit by bit to get it ultra smooth. It's already got oil in it, which actually makes up a lot of the liquid content. But I will be adding butter later on as well. I didn't overdo it with the salt on this because the white part is really salty. It's not that I have a lot of salt in it, it just tastes very salty with the smoke flavour. I'm just going to give this a little bit more at the bottom to make it move. And I'm already happy with how this looks. So that's all of my liquid now. I am already very, very happy with how this looks. And I decided to add 4 cups of the Vital Wheat because this takes enough time to make, and I just do not want to do this more than once every 2 weeks or so. So I'm trying to get the ratio so that I can make kind of 2 large hams, and then 1 would be used each week, and then that would mean that I don't have to make it so often. Because we tasted this, we got this, I made this about 2 weeks ago. We went through it in just under a week, and it was so delicious, and we've been craving it ever since, so that's why I'm making it now. So what I'm going to do is take half of this and just let it mix and do some mixy business and get gorgeous. Then I'm going to do the other half, and I will come back and show you what it looks like right before I blend it. And welcome back. It's getting fun now. So I've allowed these 2 sets to mix for 5 minutes each, and then I put it into, like, I clumped a bit off and then put that in the blender for about 10, 12 seconds, 15 seconds. Once it is ready to come out the blender, it looks all mincy and stuff. Tip that out. So you can see it kind of looks all kind of mincy, but if you smooth it out, it looks like that, which all looks nice and hammy. So I'm just going to do this with one hand so you can see how easy it is to get that lovely smooth sense about it. There you go. So we're just going to do that to all of the pieces. Right now I'm going to mix these parts in the mixer, and I'm when it looks like that, it's enough. So it's only literally a few seconds just to get it to be smooth, and you can really see the development of the gluten. So again, just going to get that nice and homogenized. Let's get another little clump. Right now I'm going to mix these parts in the mixer, and I'll be back when it's all done. Okay folks, so now it's getting exciting. So this is what it looks like after the blending, as I've shown you. But what I wanted to do was to start mixing in this starchy creation here, and I'm telling you, this is packing salty, smoky, hammy flavor, and I don't want to lose that. So I want that interlaced throughout all of the ham. So what I did was, just using the scissors, I just kind of cut it up here and opened it up a little bit, and I essentially dipped one in, and it looks like sauce, you know, like some type of ranch sauce or something. Anyway, I just kind of like mixed it in quite a bit, and I kind of broke up the gluten and kind of pulled bits together and gave it a really good mix, because I want that flavor to just be interlaced everywhere. So I'm giving it a really, really good mix, and this is to mimic some of that starch that you would get that if you had made it with washed flour and you had a bit of that starch left over. And I haven't had success yet with washed flour, so I'm pretty good at this. I'm quite happy with my progress with Vital Wheat Gluten, so I'm working with the boy I know, and that looks really good already. I'm hoping that that's going to really mix in and be the kind of texture that you're looking for a little bit hammy, a little bit of white bits here and there. I'm just going to mix that absolutely everywhere. Really get it in there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this with all of that. And also what I'm going to do is take my vegan ham, vegan butter that I make myself. And I'm going to take little chunks of it off. I really should freeze this. I'll probably put this back in the freezer quickly and just take it and kind of get it in there. So that is all these little pockets of fat, which is what it's like to work with ham. So I'm not measuring how much butter I'm using. I'm just going to use what feels right. And what I might do is mix in and marble in some of these that are not mixed in with this. And then I'm going to go and get the white one out of the fridge and I'm going to marble that in as well. And then put a membrane on the front. So bear with me. I'm going to do a little bit of mixy business and then show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've already mixed these two, which use some of the red, mainly the red, with some of the white mixed in on this one. And what I did is dipping into the sauce, I guess, the fatty starchy membrane. I just kept on basically ripping it apart, adding more, smearing it in, ripping it, adding more, and until I can, and then I got some of the vegan butter, and then put that in different layers, which, as you know, that's going to come out really juicy. So I just kept on doing that until I was happy, and then I created a smooth texture by folding it. And it can get a little bit kind of hard to do it if you've been doing it for quite a while, but if you just leave it to rest for a few minutes, it comes out really, really well. The texture is really, really good, and I think it's going to create a great ham. This is the last one, so I wanted to show you what it looks like as I'm doing it. So you basically just pull it apart, dip in some of the sauce, get that smudged in there, and you want to have some of that wetness on the outside. You can see on this one, this has been resting a little bit longer, and it just looks amazing. The texture is really, really good, and it's smooth on the outside. So what I'm going to do is just basically keep breaking the white up and the red, and I want it to be as kind of smooth as possible. I've already put some butter in on this one, and I just want to get as much of the that sauce inside of it, because that's where a lot of our flavor is coming from, and I don't want to add any more salt really to this. So that's a lot of where a lot of the flavor is going to come from. And by mixing it in, I'm getting it not just on the white where it already is, but I'm also getting it deep in on the pink parts, which is the hammy part. So here you can see it's kind of like all crazy and interlaced. There is an argument for doing this, kind of getting this and then being able to knot it, but what I'm doing here is kind of creating that same effect, because it's not all one uniform slab of meat. It's of dough. It's all broken up and interlaced, and you know, and that should give it some of that that texture that we're looking for without me having to braid it. So, and I'm not particularly worried about how much or where the pink and white pieces come when I cut it. I want that sense of having a fatty, you know, a fatty piece of ham, so that when I fry it, it's got that kind of bacony feel, ham bacony feel to it. So what I'm doing now, just kind of like forming it into a bit of a smooth texture, and you can see how I'm doing that here. And I'm just getting it to be smooth so it's not all rigid on the outside. And you just kind of get the smooth side and continue tucking everything in. Keep tucking. And then the underneath will look messy, but that's okay. You're going to put it on top of that. And then as you let it rest, all of that will just become homogenized. And to me, that just looks beautiful. So I'm happy with this. And if I wanted to, I could also spread out some of this white here and just put a little dip here. So we've got some of that flavor inside, and just spread that out nicely. not too crazy, and then just basically put that around to make that fatty exterior that we all know and love on ham. And it doesn't have to be tidy, that's the other thing. It can just be messy as meat is. It's not perfect, it's imperfect, and so that's what you can do to get that kind of nice texture on the outside if you wanted it. So that's it so far. I'm going to basically leave this overnight. I kind of want to eat one of these tomorrow, but I'll leave this overnight and then I'll cook one straight away, and then the other one I'm going to cook after 24 hours, maybe 36 hours. But that's it. That gives you an idea of how to get that lovely kind of membrane on the outside, the texture on the outside that you're looking for before you wrap it to be able to steam it. Thank you for watching. Every ham baby needs a simmering broth, a bath. And this is what I use to create great flavor that the ham would be simmering in. So what I want you to do is adapt this a little bit. If you like things a little bit more spicy, then go ahead and put things that are a little bit more spicy in. Flavor is important, so make sure you taste the broth before you put your ham baby into the bath. You want to make sure that the broth tastes really good. The flavor should be great. It should not be overly salty, but it should taste really good. There should be something about it that when it starts to warm up and gets together, it should taste really, really good. But it should start by tasting good before you put your ham baby inside of the bath. Okay, so I'm going to show you the brine that I'm going to be cooking the ham in. Now, I know what you're thinking, how come the brine is pink? It's actually pink because I make homemade vegetable stock, and inside of my vegetable stock, because we eat a lot of beets, I use beets, so that's the reason why it's red. So it's been cooked over a long period of time and it's still retained its red color. So if I put this in anything, it should remain red. Anyway, besides that, I'm also going to be adding garlic powder, fumaro, some carob for the brown color, bay leaves, salt, a couple other bits I will provide in the description. So I'm going to put those in there, and I'm going to give that a mix and get the fire on. And I've used a similar broth for other things like my beef recipe, and it comes out bomb. It's really delicious, so I expect this will do the same. I'm just going to let this get kind of warm, and then I'm going to start the process of wrapping up the ham in cheesecloth and baking paper and foil, and then I will put it into this bath. I feel that there's not enough liquid in here, so I may top this up with some water just to bring it kind of above this line, so that when it's boiling, it's going to be, the whole thing will be covered, and then I don't have to turn it over so many times. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap the ham and try to get that wrapped as tight as I can. And wrapping it when it's kind of just come out of the fridge is easier because it's a little bit more firm. So it's going to cooperate a little bit more with me making it a bit more malleable. And what I'm going to do is use foil. If foil is not your thing, then don't use it. I don't have a problem with using foil. I just prefer for it not to touch my food. I prefer. Right, so what I'm going to do is wrap up these corners first, because it didn't really hold in the corner well. And I'm going to just do one more of the foil on that, just to make sure it's been wrapped up good enough. Okay, now I don't actually have, I don't know, let me go and see if I've got some string. But what I did do is forget to put it in my cheesecloth. I hope that decision doesn't come back to bite me, but I don't want to unwrap it now. So I'm just going to wrap a bit of this ribbon. I don't have butcher's string, so I'm just going to do with what I've got, and that's the benefit of being a cook. Just use what you've got and get what you want. There's a lot of ingredients that I would have used for this that I just didn't have, and I didn't want to wait to get them. So I just use what I have. And I encourage you to use the same. If some of the spices or the things that you've got aren't the same as what I have, then just use what you've got. The only thing I would say you absolutely need is the smoke. I didn't have liquid smoke. I had some trouble getting it last week, so I don't have it. But I have the powdered fumaro smoke, and that's what I've been using. And that usually, even when I'm cooking normally, is enough. I don't even need that plus the liquid smoke. So if you only got one of the different types of smoke, then just use what you've got. Whatever you have, it's good enough. What isn't good enough is how small this damn ribbon is. Okay. Like I said, use what you've got. Alright, in business. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to set sail to my ham baby. Wish me luck. It's all wrapped up, and I'm going to cook it on a low, put it in the brine and cook it on low. I'm just going to show you the brine. This is, well, it's not really a brine because there's not tons of salt in it, but the broth at least. And as you can see, it's kind of browned up a little bit. And how I did that was I added the carob powder, but I also added 2 spoons of Chinese allspice for that kind of hammy, cinnamony spice flavor. And so it now has, and some soy sauce. So I've done some things to turn it brown, which I wanted. So I'm going to just basically pop this bad boy in and hope for the best. And I think I probably won't get the color I'm looking for because I haven't wrapped it in cheesecloth. If I'd wrapped it in cheesecloth, I think the outside would get more brown. But like I said, I don't want to undo it now. So I'm just going to set sail to my ham baby, wish for the best. And I'm going to keep it to a low fire. It's already, the broth is already hot. So I'm just going to keep this already to a low fire. And let it simmer for an hour. And then I'll kind of give it a pinch. And then I'll probably put it for another hour. So probably 2 hours in total, which is what I've seen being the average for this recipe. And we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it'll turn out as beautifully as we all hope it does. We're all on this journey together.
2 hours later.
Okay, so my ham baby is looking good. It's been left on low. I did turn it over an hour ago, and it's been about another hour. I like that it hasn't got much bigger than the original size of it, which means that the fire hasn't been too high, which is good. It's just been on low. I'm just going to increase the fire just for a couple of seconds, get it hot, bubbling again, and then I'll turn it back down for a final 30 minutes. And I've got to say, I tasted the ham before I added the glaze, and I thought, this is great. I don't need this glaze. I don't need it. And then I put the glaze on and tasted it. wow, totally changed my mind. It really elevates it. And one of the things you can do with all of the extra that's left over is once you've sliced your ham, you can brush it with the glaze, leave it in the fridge, and take out each piece of your ham when you want to eat it. Put it in the air fryer or put it on the stove or in the oven just for a couple of minutes so it can get warm, but it will have all of the delicious flavor of the glaze, not just on the outside, but on the inside too. It still remains pink, but it's a little bit extra brown with all of these flavors. But this glaze is absolutely delicious. But once again, this is your kitchen. Use the flavors that you like. If there's something that I use that you don't have, then just see what you've got in your pantry and just run with it and make it your own. Go for the flavors that you really like. Hello, folks. So I'm just mixing the glaze. I will provide the recipe for the glaze. I just wanted to show you what it looked like. And this is what I'm going to use to glaze the ham. Hopefully this is enough for all 3 hams. But yeah, that's my glaze, looking beautifully shiny. It's got a nice semi-sweet, tangy, salty. It's really, really nice. And I also, yeah, it tastes really great. I mean, it tastes really great just on its own. And I also put a little bit of rum seasoning in there. I don't have wine, I don't drink wine, but I have got some rum seasoning from when I make cakes. So I put a little bit of that in there. So there's a nice little smell. It will probably burn off, but it is very, very nice smelling. Anyway, so that's the glaze, and I will show you guys me using it at the appointed time. I just wanted to make it ahead of time and then put it in the fridge and let all those flavors kind of come through, and I can leave that in the fridge overnight. Hi there, folks. My level of excitement has grown exponentially. I just want to show you what has been going on in the half an hour, 45 minutes I've been waiting for this to cool down. I want to make sure I get a good height so you can see just how amazing this looks. So I haven't unwrapped it. This is my first time. I want you to see how beautiful that looks. And there is a kind of a texture on the outside. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like got this jellyish kind of oily, really delicious flavor from the starch water we made, the starch sauce. And I want to do the glaze on this. I'm going to do the glaze, but I want to cut it and let you see what it looks like. And it's an adventure for all of us, but I really feel like it's going to come out well, because the actual texture of this is really, really amazing. So let's try it. Oh, that feels good. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is amazing. That is amazing. And there's like in the little indentations, it's moist. Oh, look at that. I'm gonna give it a nice little thin slice. I like my ham thin, or I liked my ham thin. Oh, look how that cuts. It's just beautiful. Look at this. This is amazing. Look at that. Oh, wow. The taste is really good. It's got the right kind of texture for how I remember ham being. And those little stringy bits. This is good, guys. This is really good. I want a little bit more of the smoke flavor. So when I put the glaze on, it's going to really bring up that smoky flavor. But, that is good. Now imagine slices of that fried with a kind of Eggs Benedict style. This is really good. I know my camera's not the best, but just look at that. That really has the way that I remember ham, kind of how it breaks apart. It's really wild. So what I'm going to do now, I'm really happy with this. This would be great just on a sandwich as it is. Just on a sandwich, how it is now would be amazing. But I want to commit to the process. I'm going to get that glaze and then I'm going to roast it for 30 minutes with the glaze. Now I made the glaze last night and just left it in the fridge. I just want to show you the glaze. It's really thick and unctuous and the flavour on it is really good. It's thick and brown and I'm going to just brush this very liberally and then put the ham into bake. So the outside will be this lovely brown colour and the inside is more pink. Now if you look here, that's already the case. The outside is kind of like a little bit brown and then the inside is even more pink, and I just love how that looks. And it cuts beautifully. It really does. It cuts really great. Check this out. This reminds me of gammon ham that you have at Thanksgiving or at Christmas time in the UK. Just tears brilliantly. And the fact that this is with Vital Wheat Gluten, I think that's really something to be commended. I'm really pleased with this. All right, so let's get this glazed up. Oh, this flavor's great. Really, really, really good. It's really fragrant. And it has the smoke powder in it as well. Let's give that a quick turn to the other side. What I've done is I have basted the ham, and I'm going to cook it for 30 minutes on a relatively low heat just to get that caramelization on the outside. I can't take it. This is so beautiful. I need to close the oven, but look at it. She's so pretty. Okay, I've put the glaze. It looks good, but I prefer the pink on the outside. But anyway, I'm going to just show you guys, well, we're going to learn together and see what it's like to cut into this. It's really sticky. I like the glaze. It's got like a sweet flavour to it. All right, let's see what this looks like. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad at all. That looks really good. Oh man, look how that comes apart. Look at that. That is a really great texture. All right, I'm gonna give it the taste test. I'll take it back. This glaze really makes a difference. I know I'm gonna like this even more when I fry it. But even if you put this in a sandwich, just as great as it is, it's really good. That glaze makes a huge difference. Let's look how that comes apart. Just like ham. I am going to call this a win. This is a win. Absolutely. It slices beautifully. Yeah, this is great, guys. This is wild. Check this out. So good. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I am so ecstatic that you will be able to try this recipe. Please like, please share, please subscribe. This is my new channel, and I love cooking, but I have never done YouTube for cooking. So it's a really great opportunity for me to learn, to try different things, and to share them with my community. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day and many, many beautiful, delicious, hammy mornings ahead.